Right. Hello, everybody. Oh, someone at the door. Welcome to this evening's council meeting, the 21st of April 2026, meeting beginning at 6:01. So welcome everybody. I'd like to advise that an audio-visual recording is being made of this meeting. I also remind everyone present to be respectful and considerate towards others attending the meeting. Language or behaviour that could be perceived as offensive, defamatory or threatening to any person attending the meeting or to those listening to the recording will not be tolerated. I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional and original owners of this land, the Mumma people, to pay respect to those that have passed before us and to acknowledge today's Tasmanian Aboriginal community who are custodians of this land. Apologies for this evening's meeting. We have Councillor Campbell and Councillor Terenius. Apologies. Item 4, do we have any declarations of interest for this evening's meeting? No. Item 5, confirmation of the minutes of the 17th of March 2026. The recommendation that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 17th of March 2026 be confirmed. Can I have a move, please? Councillor Nichols and Deputy Mayor Larkin do second. Thank you. All those in favour of the recommendation? Unanimous, thank you. Over the page, item number 6, Mayor's Report. Recommendation that the Mayor's communication report as listed be received. Can I have a move? Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Reid to second. Thank you. Right, open to the floor for questions. Oh, sorry. Where are we going? Councillor Merikasala.
Thank you. Please, there is the mention of Mayor's workshop in Devonport in the Mayor's report. So I'm wondering about, there's a mention here about Luke Gregory updating or briefing on the LG reform, and I was wondering if you would remember about that or had any comments about that.
The what, sorry?
Local government reform.
Oh, right, sorry, in there.
Yeah.
It was basically a briefing about what we already know. Yeah. What we'll get through, or what they're planning to get through the legislation before the next election in October is the new councillor numbers, councillor allowances. That will happen before the next election.
There's like a partial amendment or reform.
Partial amendment. The remainder of the changes will, they're working through them, and they will go through the legislative process. If there are any by-elections after they've gone through, then they will then any by-election will be held to the new legislation.
Because if I remember correctly, the new councillor numbers was reducing from 9 to 7. Correct?
One of the councillors that will change from 9 to 7. One of the other recommendations that there was potentially going to be put forward for the October elections is the change to the election of the deputy mayor. The suggestion was that the deputy mayor be elected around the table by the new council, and that was not supported by the council, so that election, the election of the deputy, is going to remain the same by the public by ballot. That is basically the
Thank you.
what's going to happen.
Just jump in there further to that conversation. The number of nominations, was that mentioned? The number of nominations that candidates have to gain?
So yes, so that's going to be 10. The proposal was for 30,
Yes, that's right.
but that was going to be hard to achieve in some of the smaller electorates.
Yeah, okay.
Or they're large in area but small in voter numbers. So they've settled on 10.
10. Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Reid?
Thank you. It's good to see visits, and I saw some of the publicity around your visit to the Southern Beaches Swim Centre that's nearing completion, and also a visit to Flippers Swim Centre. And I'm hoping, unlike some of the social media that we saw at the time, that there's a really healthy appreciation of both those facilities being in partnership effectively and both providing a really important role in community services.
I think there's been a dialogue between the two operators and an offering of skills. That's for them to work out between them. There are distinct differences between the two operations. Flippers is very much a appreciated, long-standing enterprise business, and I am sure they will continue to be well into the future. I visited Flippers. To my ignorance, I didn't know a lot about the business, so I had a lovely long chat with Denise and found out her history and all about those that attend the swim centre. So she's very experienced, very well qualified, and yeah, hopefully they can have a good relationship. The two businesses can have a good relationship, and I'm sure there is the capacity within the community to facilitate both.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Councillor Reid, you had a question?
I just want to ask about your meeting with Helen Ransom and the conversation involving the recent Tasmanian Aboriginal history and whether this is leading to any pathways or aspirations. Or...
Yes. It was, again, it was an education piece for me, and it will also help shape the future of how we go forward as a council. The message I repeatedly hear is that Sorell Council, because we're active in so many ways now, especially now we've got the youth hub open, there's going to be more activation around the subject, the First Nations subject, and the community precinct as well. And we need to increase the depth of cultural knowledge and access to that cultural. We need partnerships. We need people to talk to. So it's about increasing that capacity to have various discussions with the First Nations people and as well the local cohort and the local aunties, the local information, and the broader Tasmanian community. So it was just sort of joining the dots and adding to that directory and just my general information as well.
Excellent. Do you believe this will lead into more community educational opportunities?
Yes. Yeah. That's my intent. Yeah. To open those to everybody, so everybody can have the conversation, and it's not something. It becomes part of our community, just to walk alongside, so we don't have to distinctly investigate that First Nations role. You know, we're working together.
Thank you, Matt.
Just noting that there's a phone conversation with Rodney Croom. Is that a
that was an introduction that was Deputy Mayor Larkins made the introduction through some of the contacts he had, and it was triggered by the council's well-being and diversity programme that we're working with. Who are they? Actually, not Mission Australia. Oh, yes, Mission Australia. So it's an access and inclusion programme that we're working on. Mission Australia are supporting the council with it, and it was taking on board his input.
So he leads a not-for-profit or an organisation in Tasmania.
He is.
Yeah.
This was sort of informing and supporting. What we do, and he's he wants to have a further conversation, so we do that inclusion piece properly, and again, especially now we've got that youth hub.
I was just interested because normally you wouldn't want a phone conversation on there. So
I've spoken.
Very open.
I've spoken to a few people about it, and shared that information. So it was meant to be a Teams meeting, but it didn't.
I know someone in tech that could sort it out.
Yeah.
I was very late.
Thanks.
So, anything further?
Thank you, Mayor, and apologies for being late to that Teams meeting. I'll be sure to be more prompt in the future. Just curious about how your meeting with the Sorell School went around facilitating an Army Cadet program.
Right. So Sorell School and the Army are very keen to develop a Army Cadet program at Sorell School. What they need to actually activate it is volunteers, and it was around the type of volunteers, and those volunteers then have to go through a sort of induction process through the Army Cadet program. So it's it was how the school was like, how do we do this? How do we make this happen? So that was part of the thing. So the main reason for the meeting. So I am working. I've now gone back to the cadets and said, how can we do this? How can we make this happen? How can I find what are the appropriate volunteers that you need to then put through the cadet program? So that's the position we're in at the moment.
Thank you.
Looking for volunteers. If anybody knows a volunteer that would like to take part in the cadet program, then please step forward anytime.
Do they have to be ex-military?
No, you don't. But you go through that sort of induction program, which apparently is not a big deal. It's just to align your values and what they actually do in cadets, which is all sorts of stuff now. It's not just marching in uniform. They do the tech side, they do the communication, they do the leadership. There's much more to the program than there originally was. So that was that. Anything further? That's Marie.
Thank you. I guess noting, rather than questions on specific items, just noting how many events and conversations are happening at the moment, celebrating the results of Council's advocacy over many years with the opening of the Youth Hub, the CAP management strategy expanding, the other natural resource program activities, the swimming pool, even Sea Rescue's 35th anniversary, the conversations around community halls and the access and inclusion conversations that you've just mentioned. They're all processes that have been and conversations that have been in the pipeline and discussed around the council table for most of my in fact all of my 8 years on council, and it's gratifying and it's fantastic to now have those things landing and happening. So it must be from must be an exciting time to be mayor, to be able to be coming to.
It is. It is.
Kind of opening and progressing all of these really significant initiatives.
Yeah, I think the progressing is the important thing, and the catalyst to a lot of these events. And they're not quite. I haven't quite been to the opening of an envelope yet, but the catalyst has definitely been developing partnerships, and it's been teamwork, and it's credit to the council and their engagement officers that we've been able to activate a lot of these things that have been hanging fire, I guess, for a long time, and now they're baby steps, and now we're actually able to take bigger steps in partnership, and they're coming to fruition. So it's really nice to see, and getting around the community, there is enthusiasm to progress those partnerships further, and in different ways as well. And I don't like saying hold your horses, but there's an eagerness to develop the community programs. So it's not really nice.
We've put the foundations in place, we've got the strategies, and now we're seeing those activated and funded, which is fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're happy? All those in favour of happy with my report, please show hands. Unanimous, thank you very much. No supplementary items. On page 4, item 8, there is a list of council's workshop report. Moving on to item 11, with no questions and no motions on notice, we'll move to item 11, which is the work group reports, and the recommendation that the work group reports as listed be received. Can I have a read of this, please, Deputy Mayor Larkin and Councillor Reynolds? Thank you very much. Open the floor for the General Manager and anybody else's interrogation. Councillor Reid.
Thank you. The meeting with the CEO meeting with the Crown Solicitor and Public Trustee jumped out at me. Will you fill us in on what that was about, please?
Through the Mayor, that was in response to the land around sort of First Ave, GD Road, to do with the real estate and other matters. So they sat down with Joe and I, so the public trustee and Crown Solicitor, around which parcels that we had previously indicated that council may be interested in or not, and just some of the logistics and simplicity or no simplicity around how easy it would be to transfer to council or not. So we just went through those, and they've come back to us with a range of follow-up questions, which I've got to deal with. But there were some that were comparatively simple to be incorporated or transferred to us effectively as road reserves, which would be good, and others that we indicated we weren't interested in, or it was just too complex to go through the process, or we'd have to purchase it at a market rate, which we weren't interested in. So it's quite an array of titles dotted throughout Dodgers with that old estate.
Right. Does that include one that we know has not been, they've had a lot of difficulty identifying ownership?
No, that wasn't on the table as far as a title they could produce and be clear
so
on.
So that's still a work in progress?
It's still a work in progress.
Oh my goodness, right, okay.
It's quite a complex matter for them.
Okay, thank you.
Through the Mayor.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, mate. You go.
Up to you.
Councillor Reynolds.
Sorry, through the CEO, I was just wanting more information on your group meeting for the Greater Hobart Sport and Rec Infrastructure Strategy, and where Pembroke Park falls into that conversation.
Through the Mayor, so the first draft's been produced by the consultants, which is an interesting read. I'm not at liberty now at this stage to sort of provide it to the councillors. We're still working through the project team and working out the process, because there's 6 councils involved as far as how to get it through the elected members and hopefully adopted as in a coordinated way. But it was really interesting for us, given the consultants engaged all the state sporting organisations and did some fairly detailed analysis on current and forecast participation, plus demographic profile as well in terms of growth or where growth was, if there was any, in certain age groups, and just benchmarked it against other jurisdictions on the mainland. So it was certainly interesting. There were some surprises for me, not in a shocking way, but just in terms of once you see that broader consideration of the whole of the Greater Hobart Metro and where the population's just distributed, where age groups are either stagnating, dropping, or increasing as a proportion of the total population, and just the hearing each council what they've sort of been wanting to achieve over the years, relevant to what the sporting organisations might be trying to agitate for as well. Sort of putting it all in the mincer and spitting out something at the end that makes sense is pretty different to the start of the process, where I guess everyone in isolation thought that their consideration of their council area and what it should be doing for sport was quite different. So it's going to be challenging, I think, with a couple of metros around realisation that maybe what they think is a priority actually isn't a priority, and it's not that feasible in a business case sense. So it's still a way before it's going to land and be formally endorsed. But there's a few elements of their findings with respect to Pembroke that has changed slightly my view on how soon we may do things. So that was helpful, and I followed up with those draft findings with the likes of AFL TAS and Cricket TAS, and I'm trying to get hold of Football Federation TAS as well. So
I saw those meetings. Have they come across any money to improve our infrastructure yet, or just purely conversations about the growth?
There's the potential for some small funding from AFL TAS. So we're they've all been really good to deal with and haven't tried to gild the lily, so to speak. So Oliver's dealing with AFL TAS, but trying to get some some small but needed or welcome amounts of money to help to go to some of those projects, but no one has a giant bucket of money for us.
Thank you.
That's for sure.
Thank you. CEO, interested in the State Planning Office fast track rezoning meeting. I'm assuming the Minister Vincent was there, since that was his idea. Is there anything that you can, I guess, tell us that's not on the public record already? And I guess a supplementary to that would be, how was it received by the CEOs and planners around the state in terms of probably taking some duties maybe away from councils?
No, Councillor Shona went up there not really sure what it was about. It's a good way to start anyway. But it was sort of driven in a sense by Devonport with their experience, probably less than a great experience with rezoning processes, and it was sort of more targeted at when there's a regional land use strategy and a council's done its own more detailed structure planning, and what they're proposing is consistent with both. Why it should go through the whole sort of full process? That there should be an element where it can be a lot simpler if you've done all the homework and it all stacks up. So it was actually a really good discussion, because Kerry, the Minister, had his planning advisor there, Dale Fenwick, who's a whiz. State Planning Office staff were there, senior staff were there as well. So it was a really civilised and constructive discussion around they really have no interest in sort of making work for themselves when, like I said, all the background work's been done, and now you just sort of it's the final piece of the puzzle is, well, this bit previously identified and done in detail is actually, we're ready to move on that now. So they're going away to sort of work out how it might work and if there's any legislative change that goes with it. But it wasn't like a widespread free fall, let's just dump the system. It's more a particular type of approach. Should be easier to get through.
I was sorry, just to follow up. I was sort of under the understanding that it might have included, I guess, an ease for developers to potentially have applications that, I guess, traditionally might have been on the outskirts of, say, and you've taken Sorell in, for instance, on the outskirts of the township, where there might still be future growth within the town boundaries, but there might be land bankers in the town boundaries, whereas a developer on the outskirts who is ready and can prove that essentially they're ready to develop might be able to, I guess, not skip the process or fast track the process. And that would override some of the, I guess, planning considerations that are currently in G. Is that?
Well, through the mayor, it was more, that was discussed as an issue as to why there's sort of a view that there is sufficient land for southern Tasmania's residential growth, but the reality is many are sitting on it for that purpose, the land bank. So part of the discussion was around what mechanism can you incentivise them to do something with it. But that wasn't really the intent of this in particular. But it was certainly part of the mix because it's an obvious issue with availability of land.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. Through the Mayor, CEO, you're meeting with Tas Irrigation, and is it GSIS program?
Yeah, through the mayor, it was the Greater South East Irrigation Scheme.
Right.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a catch up for the mayor, myself, Shane and Oliver, following on from a meeting I had with their CEO earlier this calendar year, just around it was around opportunity for us to have further agricultural investment here. If we need to make any land use planning changes to our planning scheme or our sort of, not so much straws, but more that planning scheme. If there's something we could do to assist them with the encouragement of future irrigators to make good on their investment commitment, because it's a co-funding model. But it was actually quite useful in a revealing sense in that there's sort of limited expansion opportunities down this end of the scheme, because the infrastructure that's put in place 10 or so years ago is at a particular size and it's at capacity. So even though this project is to separate the water source from Taswater to sort of, if you like, a bulk water supply instead, in terms of getting more down here that our irrigation district could expand, it's only very limited opportunities for that, because the infrastructure that's in place is pretty much at capacity.
Right.
So the whole scheme is actually more focused on land that's in Clarence, bit of Southern Midlands, Brighton and Dewar Valley.
Okay. Yeah.
There are, I think the message that we got across to them is that one size does not fit all.
Yeah.
And they went away considering sort of alternative methods of, they had their process to engage the farmers, and this was how it's going to be done. And how about thinking about a little bit more sort of adaptive interaction, or not interaction, but arrangements with them.
Okay.
Because there's the corporate approach and there's the family farmer, the generational farmer. And from my perspective, everybody has value, but community building and maintaining community, the individual farmer, the family farmer, further up the catchment has, the value, It's not just about the corporates who can invest and wait for that 5 to 7 year return. The smaller producer needs a quicker return on their investment. So we went away with more questions than answers.
Thank you.
Councillor Marissada.
Thank you. This is a question I'm not sure, maybe for Mr. Higgins. On page 9, on item 11.4, there is a graph of facility usage. I have a question about how much it's increased during March. And when I looked at the graphic, it's like pretty obvious that it's triple the amount of use. And is this a normal trend? Is there something being done? Is there a strategy to increase usage, or what is that?
I think through the mayor, it's the stadium floor is
That
now
was fixed.
being replaced. So
I was wondering.
now able to be hired again, and that was March, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. necessarily Jess has just said the bottom graph, which might be a bit hard to spot, but hours of use, the Southeast Stadium is shot through the roof. So
Yeah.
associated with March.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Question to the CEO. How did your meeting with, what's that place, sorry? It was Sorell East. We had a meeting with, what's it got on the page? Sorry.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, sorry, Sorell East Growth Area, owner and leadership, legal representation.
Through there, there's been a fair bit of progress fairly rapidly on that. So this was the federal funding opportunity for trunk infrastructure to service the area. And there were some announcements today around that. So it's looking as though that program will be successful, which will be a bit of a game changer for us. So between Sorell, Brighton, and the Valley, we'll seem to be progressing through that process with the feds, which is great, and Homes Tas as well, the other beneficiary. So we're not as progressed as Brighton are, and Meander's scale is a lot smaller than both Brighton's and ours in terms of total projects. So the announcement was today from the federal housing minister and our local state minister, I should say. So now we need to work out the specifics of exactly how this is going to work. It's quite a complicated funding structure in place, and there's a lot that needs to happen here before we would see any change on ground. But yeah, it's a huge first step for Sorell.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
I should say, sorry, through the mayor, that thanks to Shane Wells and Noel Strickland, who did absolutely the bulk of the work in a very, very short time frame. Wouldn't have happened without those two.
I don't know when we're going to get the detail. No direct communication. Detail today. Councillor Arnott.
Sorry, just a couple more questions. CEO, you're meeting with Brian Mitchell and the Waialacta bike track. Did you both take your bikes along and have a whirl? Or?
There's no whirling of bikes. No. It's just out of courtesy to Brian, who we've been briefing on the project for some years whilst he was in federal government. So now that we've got the business case done, we're trying to get the Malmesbury Bay to formally endorse their business case and the MAU, which we've already done, just to bring up to speed on the project. And it's more likely, if we're going to get funding, it'll be from the federal government. So to make sure that currently both Beck and Julie Collins are briefed appropriately, and if they need any support at the state level, then obviously Brian's ideal for that. So just a very quick meeting to bring up to speed.
Yeah, thank you. And just my next question, it's sort of around the We Stand Together Against Racism. Don't really see or hear racism that much, but then when in my current workplace, it's actually a real big issue. It's I don't realise how bad it actually is until you're in amongst it. And I just like that Sorell Council's part of it, but what we plan on trying to do going forward to play our role in stamping it out, apart from the rally, like what's the way forward here in stamping out racism?
Go for it. Yeah.
So there was, this rally is turning into an annual event, and there was the opportunity for feedback after the event to say, to get this message across and for it not to be Hobart centric, and we need to activate it more in the regions. I think there needs to be a cultural shift and awareness, and I think we're doing that through some of the programs that we're working on, like the access and inclusion and the health and wellbeing, Once we get the community precinct up and running as well, that's a space where it can be activated, and that sort of community cohesion work, we can do that there. Getting the message across is really hard, but we have become part of signed up as a Be Kinder Foundation, which is it's a leadership program through primary schools, which teaches empathy and kindness and inclusivity without judgment. So it's rather than saying, don't be divisive, don't be racist, don't be judgmental. It teaches that empathy and that kindness from an early age. So it's I think we're working in different areas to just to get the message across, to get that kindness and that empathy and that understanding and that non-judgmental nature across. I see bias in the community, and my message is that's not nice. That's not right. It's just simple to change the messaging. I think we can do a lot through the youth hub as well. People's attitudes, the norm attitude will change in time. Whether it has to be a generational thing, but we're working on the next generation. I don't know. So I think there isn't one thing to fix that issue. Multiple things. We're working on multiple things with the end goal of.
Thanks for that. There's something recent that's had me scratching my head, questioning humanity. Really, it's and obviously racism isn't a born behaviour; it's something that's learned through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Particularly families in our area, and that's like.
So I'm really grateful that the council agreed to become a Be Kinder council, because that's entry level kinder, and that's, so it teaches that. It's not even teaching; it's developing that inclusivity from word go. Any further questions? That's all right.
Thank you. First, just about the fantastic work that the community relations team's doing and all of the events, most of which I was very pleased to be able to participate in, along with a lot of other councillors, which is great. Green Creek Show, the Backyard Biodiversity Program, Ferry Hall, the Cat Management launch, etc. And looking forward to more on FOGO as well. Sadly, I wasn't able to go to the opening of Fitzy's, the youth hub, and the housewarming event that was held on Friday. I tend to think, those of us who are not in that age demographic, fair enough, it's not for us. But you were there, Mayor. How was it?
Oh, it was amazing. I'm so glad you asked. Unfortunately, the leadership team didn't get to go, but there were over 70 children from the school uniforms were from Clarence, Rose Bay, Sorell. There was indie school. There was children from out of area as well that I didn't recognise. It was it was run from 3 until 6, and we basically had to pull the plug on the music to get the children to go home. So it was a very relaxed environment. The children integrated really well, mixed and connected, and they played music, they listened to music, they created screen print artwork on t-shirts, they drank lots of lollies, drank lots of cordial and ate lots of lollies, but it was just a really nice environment, and I'm so pleased that it went off so well, and there was a lot of goodwill created from the entertainers and Lyndon Burgess, who came to do the smoking ceremony, Cody, the musician, lives locally, ex-school student. He's coming back. Ron, the artist, as well. He's coming to do some work there, and the children engage with those really well.
Terrific.
And there's already, you can already identify some mentors within the cohort of young people.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Any further questions for the leadership team, CEO? No? All those happy with the report and the agenda? Should you show hands? Unanimous, thank you very much. We now move on to, I haven't got the page. Item page 10. Petitions still being actioned. No change to the petition. No petitions received. Land use planning. In accordance with Regulation 29, the Council will act as the planning authority in respect to those matters appearing under item 14 on this agenda, inclusive of any supplementary items. So item 14.1, the Sorell Planning Authority minutes. Can I have a mover for this, please? Ooh, Councillor Reid and Councillor Nichols. Thank you. Second. Any comments on those minutes? No? All those in favour of the recommendation? Thank you very much. On to item 17, community relations. Higher fees for the Youth Hub, that the Council resolves to endorse the proposed higher rates for the Youth Hub at 11 Fitzroy Street, Sorell, as outlined in this report. Can I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Nichols. Thank you. Any comments on this recommendation? Councillor Reid.
Thank you. Again, fantastic milestone in the journey of the Youth Hub, which is wonderful. Activating it and getting it up and running. My question is about the percentage for commercial, government or business use. So these rates are the effectively the community rate, and then there's an extra premium of 25% on top for those other users. Is that correct?
That's consistent with our fee structure.
Consistent with our fee structure.
The base rate is a community rate, and we put additional.
I just have it in the back of my mind that other councils have it the other way round, in that they have a commercial rate and then a heavy discount for community, which I don't know. I don't know whether there's merit in one way or the other, but I do understand that we've had this structure consistently for quite some time.
Through the Mayor, the rationale was that the community facilities are here for our community groups primarily, and that they should have the priority of use, and the rate is for our community. For the government commercial operators that want to use it, then they get charged extra, which was also in an attempt to say these are the community facilities, this is the community rate, because we were getting, in the past we received a lot of requests for reduced fees because organisations were community groups. So that's why we flipped it.
Great, thank you. That clarifies it. Thanks very much.
Any further questions?
Just a bit of point of clarification. Understanding that some businesses may be funded to deliver youth programs, as that's a bit of a priority of youth programs and youth-focused organisations. Will those sorts of businesses, where their core business is youth services, be subject to the 25% fee?
Through the Mayor, without a specific example, it's probably difficult to answer, but yeah, it would depend on the circumstances.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Councillor Reid.
Thank you. Just another point of clarification. It's terrific to see that explained that there's no internal user charging, that we're not charging ourselves under any circumstances, and perhaps in that particular example, if council is the main proponent or the lead on an initiative and partners with other organisations and they're part of that, then that's a different situation to a third party initiating their own activity. So that's part of that nuance that you're talking about. Okay. My question was about youth access and generic sort of access to the facility, but in a supervised way, without structured activities or without hirers necessarily running things. Will there be time during which the council officers are on site and it's effectively just open for young people?
Through the mayor, yes, but it will be structured. It's not a drop-in centre. There will be times that it will be open, and that has a lot to do with the safeguarding young people, and ensuring that we have more than one staff member on site and all the things in place that we need to do.
So it's kind of proposed three afternoons a week, I believe, for that to happen.
Terrific. Great. Yeah. Thank you.
No? Okay. If there's nothing more on that, all those in favour of the recommendation? Unanimous, thank you very much. Item 18 is finance. 18.1 executive summary. The recommendation that the executive summary financial report March 2026 year to date be received and noted by council. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Nichols and Deputy Mayor Larkins to second. Thank you very much. Any questions on finance? Councillor Schiffel.
Once upon a time.
You've been promoted.
It's a while ago now. Thank you, Mayor. Just probably more of a comment. The CEO can respond if he likes, but it's really important to note the really strong financial position, and I guess it's a bit of a congratulatory note for the CEO and the staff, especially coming into the end of financial year. And most importantly, that recurrent income is really important. We're not relying on grants and outside investment, so to speak, but we're building that base where the council is really sustainable. So I think that's really important. Operating expenses blow massively, so I'm hoping that's not necessarily due to not doing any work, Mr. CEO, but that is also a good sign as well, leading into, because usually you would see a mass expenditure coming into sort of the end of financial year and trying to get projects over the line. So well done. It's good position.
A steady ship.
Yeah.
Through the mayor, it's not that steady at the moment in the sense of we're trying to catch up on a lot of capital jobs that are still not completed yet.
So is that operational piece that's a little bit?
No, the operational budget, we're fairly disciplined around the sort of cash flow side of things. The finance team gives the work group managers merry hell about it, so that's fairly controllable and controlled through the course of the year. But the capital budget is always a flurry for the last quarter to get all the jobs done as well as we can.
Thank you. Anything further? No.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry. The cash reserves listed on, I forgot which page.
18.
18. They're factored into the new year and out year budget. Is that right?
Yeah, through the mayor then. We've built the financial plan in a way where, particularly for new and upgrade capital projects, we nominate which ones are going to be drawing on those funds. Without checking, I'm fairly confident in terms of the next sort of 10 years, we're sort of oversubscribed, so they've certainly got a home to go to in terms of being attached to completable projects.
So will So from now, well, from next year, we'll see those balances change.
So, yeah, they'll certainly change. It's,
Yeah.
If we get more in, that's great, but
Yeah.
all things being equal, if no further money comes in, then that'll all disappear in
Yeah.
the course of the next few years.
Terrific.
Are you happy? All those in favour of the recommendation, please show hands. Unanimous, thank you very much. Over to item 18.2 on page 37. Capital budget adjustments. The recommendation that council resolve pursuant of section 82 of the Local Government Act 1993 to accept and adopt the below adjustments to the 2025-2026 capital budget estimates. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Reid and Deputy Mayor Larkins to second. Thank you very much. Open the floor. Councillor Reid.
I'd just like to comment that this method of presenting the adjustments and the budget is in the capital budget is works really well, and it makes it straightforward, and thank you very much to the staff that put in the work to do that.
Absolutely. Any other questions for the staff?
I think just to add to, thank you, and add to Councillor Reid's comment, I think what it does as well is adds that layer of transparency around project blowouts, and so yeah, it's good.
Especially in uncertain times that we're in at the moment in terms of costs. Right, all those happy with the recommendations? Please show hands. Unanimous, thank you very much. That moves us along to item 23 on the agenda, which is questions from the public in accordance with Regulation 36 of the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2025. The council will conduct public question time. So I'd like to invite members of the public to stand up and state clearly your name and place of residence. Go for it. Sharon, sorry.
Sharon Fotheringham from Fawcett. Just a few short questions. First, in regard to complaints about barking dogs, does the council attend to these within a prescribed period of time, or do you just leave them and get to them whenever you can?
If the animal is reported, I'll hand over for a procedure.
We respond in line with our customer service charter for response times.
And what that is what?
I can't tell you just off the top of my head what it is for a barking dog. It depends on what the query is about, but it's all outlined in our customer service charter, of which we can give you a copy.
The other thing too, once a councillor investigates the complaint, do you go back to the complainant and tell them what happened?
Through the mayor, yes.
I'll follow that up. The other thing too, just a general comment, or statement, in regard to the political reboundaries, is that going to have, and you've probably all discussed it, any negative or positive effects for Sorell? Have they become obvious yet?
We put in a submission of opinion, I think.
Yeah,
Is it right?
So 10 years ago, the South East Council, so the 4 South East councils, the mayors sort of put in a joint letter that the Clarence mayor at the time penned, Doug Chipman, knowing that this review was coming up now, so put in a case as to why there's some merit into resetting the electoral boundary so that we become Franklin, if you like, and there's changes associated with that, and obviously lines would shrink as far as some prior lines members coming out of it. So that what's been proposed by the redistribution committee largely follows those suggestions or recommendations that the certain mayors put pen to paper with 10 years ago. So, as to is it going to be good or bad, it's very difficult to say with any level of certainty. But the rationale as to why it was considered a logical approach 10 years ago, I think it still stands, and sort of since then there's been even probably more growth in the southeast than what we probably forecast at that point in time. But there are other council areas that are less impressed with the redistribution proposition. It remains to be seen. My suspicion is that what they've proposed will become the new boundaries.
So as far as you're aware, there's no great negatives for Sorell. Your submission was it positive? You know, your submission that you put in.
On the whole, yes, because we'd already had put in a submission 10 years ago, which is what they're now proposing in effect. So it would look a bit silly if we now put in a submission proposing a different approach.
A lot can happen in 10 years.
A lot has happened in 10 years, and a lot of it is going to have what am I trying to say? So certainly relationships is a big part of the success of an electorate, both whom's elected and also at the mayoral level as well, and how councils get on with each other. So none of the mayors in place in 2016 are still there. It's all different mayors, so different CEOs and different federal and state members. So it's a constant state of flux.
I think Robert mentioned relationships, and we have a good relationship with every federal member and every political member down here, every political representative. We have a good ongoing communication with them and good relationship, and the council have an advocacy document that we update regularly, so our message is consistent in terms of advocating for the municipality. Who we talk to, it's the same message. So and we were, it doesn't matter whether the individual is in Franklin, the other side of the river, or Lyons as we are now. They are all aware of what is happening in the region. So, and we share the same message with everyone. So that same messaging goes to the mainland. So when it comes to which electorate we fall into, we still have that long-term focus to build a healthy, strong community. We still want the infrastructure in here. So it doesn't change our story. It changes who we talk to. If that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
Eleanor Coon, Midway Point, Flyway Park. Just found out about it on Friday. I have put a question on notice for next meeting, but I won't be able to get here. Just when the question goes on notice, do the person who wrote it gets an answer, or do I have to see it on the notes from council?
Through the mayor, we can send you what we've prepared, but also prior to that, I'll get the project manager to make contact with you anyway. So
that would be lovely. Thank you. That was it.
A big tall texter called Chance. We'll make contact with you and explain what's.
I mean, we're the closest to it, and David and myself, we think it sounds great. So there's not an issue.
Yep.
It's just more a few things that would help us.
Yep.
So,
I've seen that letter, and I can say now there's no lighting proposed for it, so it's only daytime use. We're still working out if it's going to be fenced or not, just from a pedestrian safety point of view, but otherwise, if there's additional plantings that are required, we can do that fairly easily.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
get back
talk
to you.
to someone directly. It'd be easy, and both of my neighbours are quite relaxed about it all.
Yep.
I mean,
Good.
it's really nice to see the park being used more fully, and it looks a great idea, and I've seen lots of beautiful tracks that can be done.
Yep.
So that's not the issue. It's just more amelioration of noise and light, and perhaps late at night things. So that was it. You'll discuss that in time. And yeah, I can't come next month, so I thought I might just bring it up now. Thank you.
No worries.
Bob Breaky, Dunelly. With the construction of the eastern end of Dunelly Pathway, will it be in the 26-27 budget?
So through me, are you referring to the track along the highway?
Yes.
Yeah. We're still forming the budget up, so it's still a consideration for next year. I can't say absolutely it's going to happen yet because we haven't finalised the draft budget. But it's, as I've explained before, it's part of the mix of projects we're looking at for next financial year.
Well, you know whether it's going to go in the budget or not.
Well, I haven't completed the budget and we haven't put it to council yet, so it's part of the range of projects we're considering.
What are you waiting on the rest of the Sorell footpaths to be repaired and fixed up and the Dodgers Ferry ones before you come to Dunelly?
No. No, that's
No wonder Tasman Council didn't want to amalgamate with you because they knew that there'd be no funding for them.
that's not a question, Bob, thank you.
I got all overcome when I saw this note here, meeting with the Crown Solicitor and the public trustees, and then I got all disappointed. I got really excited. And I thought something was happening. And I think I've been coming here about 7 or 8 years, banging on about the same thing. I was going to say ditching my tips off, but they haven't disappeared yet. So I want to know what's going to happen and when.
Well, nor do we, but I think that meeting demonstrates that we're still trying.
I know.
Still there, and you will be the first to know when something.
I could have come to the meeting with them. My daughter-in-law is a Crown Solicitor.
Maybe next time.
Okay, that's all I've got to say. There is one thing that I noticed. The screen on one of my upstairs windows has been cut by one of the branches that have bounced off my house. And my biggest fear is it's going to bounce on through my downstairs window where I sit and enjoy my meals, and I don't want to pick out bits of glass from my tucker or my sewing machine.
You have the message loud and clear. Thank you.
But I'll keep coming every third Tuesday in the month to remind you that I'm still here, bitching about things.
We'll get worried when you don't show up.
I know. I'll try not to disappoint you.
Thank you.
Gillian Williamson. Oh, sorry. Gillian Williamson from Sharkpipe Road, Penna. And the question being, what are council's plans for improving the safety of pedestrians on the western half of Sharkpipe Road, Penna?
Through the mayor, we haven't got as a current funded budget, but we know it's an issue. I was approached some years ago from some residents down there, similarly requesting a path. It's not a project we're considering for next financial year, but it's sort of on the, how to describe it, it's on the list of, we've got a range of projects that are over $30 million worth that is currently unfunded. It's just a case of if we're, which of those projects we're actually able to afford and which ones we're going to prioritise. And it's currently in that fairly lengthy list of
Whereabouts in priority?
they're not prioritised at this stage. They're just,
okay.
there's a lot of them, all sorts of, from paths to buildings, to road sealing to, it's, we're aware it's still a need for it.
Thank you.
Debbie Salter, I'm from Ocean Grove Cult. I'd just like to ask if council has any idea when the consultation report for Ferry Hall will be expected to be delivered, and when it is that still going to be available to community members, interested community members, for sort of comment prior to that being accepted by council?
Sorry, I missed the start of that. Sorry, what was it?
Ferry Hall.
Oh, Ferry Hall. Sorry. What about with the comms and engagement bit? So that's been concluded, hasn't it? Sorry to talk to Jess.
No, go for it.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I can take it on notice because I'll get your details because I know we've done a comms engagement piece around it, and I just haven't caught up with the staff around they've certainly compiled all the responses, but I haven't seen them as yet. So
a report is being prepared from the feedback. So the council are now reviewing the feedback and preparing a consultation report. I'm not quite sure on the next stage when it's
Through the meeting, I'm not sure of the date, but it will be shared.
yeah.
It will also be shared with
Yeah.
the community prior to it being accepted.
well, I guess the details of the consultation engagement piece that will be shared, but in terms of what the final decision is, that we work through with council.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about the confusion.
Any other questions from the audience? No? Right. Thank you, folks, for your input. I would now like to move through to the closed meeting and put the recommendation that the meeting be closed to the public to enable council to consider agenda items 24.1 and 24.3, which are confidential matters as prescribed in regulations 14 and 17 of the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2025. Can I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Short, a second. All those in favour of the recommendation? Thank you. Unanimous, thank you. So that meeting is closed at